Yo, what's up guys? John Elite here. So check this out. I'm testing this new 4K camera, looking like a hot mess. But you know what? Sometimes the best content comes when you're not trying. In this crazy random Q&A, I'm dropping some major truth bombs about Daygame in 2025. You think you know what's coming? Trust me, you have no idea. Stick around and I'll show you why 656 plus students got laid and pulled for Daygame using my methods. Here is a new song for my 50-song album Daygame soundtrack.
Random question, should people choose between Kaizen or Elite 60? That's actually a good question because they're very different. Kaizen just went up in price to $2,600. That's where I feel comfortable. Kaizen is only 30 days or 37 days, 7 days for social skills flow drill and 30 days in a row. It's too hardcore for most people right now during the inflation. Most people will fucking lose their mind during the inflation. So I do not recommend people take Kaizen because for Elite 60, it's a little bit more relaxed. It's stretched out to 4 months. It's stretched out. But people that take it too relaxed is not a good thing. So we need a perfect balance between the two. You need to aggressively do Elite 60, but you're going to do Kaizen. You don't want to delay too much because it takes 21 days to develop a habit. So I recommend these days because it's cheaper than $2,600. Elite 60 is only $2,000 for 4 months. It's hardcore, but not super hardcore. It's not like Navy SEALs. It's more like the reserve forces of the army. So if you're going to choose one, I would probably say Elite 60 right now is more suitable because the inflation is affecting a lot of people's mindsets right now. They cannot focus. So even if they wanted to do Kaizen, Kaizen has a 100% success rate. But Kaizen is only for those who take 3 months of proficiency these days. Otherwise, you cannot access Kaizen unless you're part of the 3MP program. But 3MP is expensive during this inflation, so therefore it's cheaper than bootcamp. But yeah, I would say Elite 60, but it really depends on your situation. I hope that answers your question. Yeah, that's a good question to ask.
So how you stay motivated to make videos and message? I can tell that you don't do a subscriber count and the views.
First of all, obviously I have the most students late in the world, so we know that. The reality is that I've been asked this question before. And the main reason why I'm motivated is because, think about it this way. If we don't have John Elite over here, right? The world's best Daygame coach. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I am the best of the best. And you're like, oh, there's other coaches. There can be better coach. There's not a single coach that even compares. That's a fact. How many late testimonials do they have this year? 0. Last year, 0. Just posting 2019 shit. Or they only have 1 for ABCs in a Latin country. So they don't know what they're talking about. I believe that if I'm not here right now, we're all screwed for Asians. Because there's no other Daygame coach that actually can get Daygame late testimonials. I always thought like I was like Moses. I'm trying to lead my people away from global game platform scammer networks of popular coaches. I have more late testimonials than every single one of those coaches combined, whether night game or day game. But at the same time, they're brainwashed by those people over there. That's why I do what I do, because I'm trying to help the Asians. Back then when I started game, how old do you think I am? Yeah, I did start 2001. It was quite tough. Let's just say that. There was nothing like I could use for help except the lay guide. It did not work. I became obsessed. So for me, I didn't want any of the Asians to experience what I experienced. I was trying to help the Asians get out of Egypt, all these miracles that happen, and lead them to the promised land for the Asian men. But unfortunately, we have these global game networks who are gaslighting Asians with other Asians who are part of the evil people, enslaving them because they make more money in the boot camps. That's what I feel. I feel like being enslaved. And if I didn't exist, how the fuck are Asians supposed to even get laid from Daygame? Other coaches may have 1 or 2 students, token Asians. Where's all the rest? Doesn't make any fucking sense. So where's the fucking rest? Because they're autistic Asperger's and they're like, oh yeah, no, they're not Asperger's. They don't understand that stuff. It's all about game tactics. Asians are screwed without me. Out of 8.6 billion or whatever people on earth, who can do what I do for student results? Nobody. And I'm not exaggerating if you disagree with me. There's no other coach that actually has late testimonials. This year has been the hardest year of all time, guys. I'm not even joking. 2024, because the inflation was up and the high interest rates, now it's going back down for interest rates. They're cutting it. This year, by far, is even harder than 2023. Even white guys are coming to me, good-looking white guys, who are Chad-looking with square jawline. They're coming to me for help. They look like dating coaches. Now they're coming to me for training. It's ridiculous.
You said not to choose a coach based on race, but based on the results. That's right. I like that you called out Mike Queefing Casanova in 18 months.
I even made more on ABCs of low self-esteem. I call them out because they're always stuck in this mentality that it's all about engineer mindset. Like night game is 15 out of 35, day game is 20 out of 35. You need social skills, social calibrations, emotional control in game, right? 2.5 points each. You need 20 out of 35. But for them, night game does not require social skills. Because how can you socialize with the loud music in the background for a nightclub? You can't socialize because it's 15 out of 35. You're always going to get stuck. And day game is 20 out of 35. What I mean by that is it requires all these skills. You can't talk in a loud nightclub. You can't have emotional control and be chilled because the music is super loud and then people are drunk. So therefore, they're not really playing any sort of social skills or emotional control. They're using a little bit of body language and touching, and they're also using game tactics. It's a more Asperger's. It's like playing a chess game all the time, and then you're trying to play paintball, right? Which is Daygame. One of the games is more linear and stuck. They can never get out of that mentality of the nightclub mentality. That's why they don't have Daygame lay testimonials. Asians in general, for dating coaches, others, are very autistic or Asperger's. They're almost all Asperger's syndrome engineers. Former engineers, former biotech engineers. And then when it comes to day game, it doesn't make any sense to them. They just go in there with the energy of night game, mass approaching, and using DHV stories and tactics and direct compliments and validation. They don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to them. This is a whole different science. They're looking at it from an artistic point of view.
So, yes, the arrow science. Probably that good-looking Korean Chad, right? It's hard to relate to them.
Exactly. That guy told my student that they should not do day game. The recent student that got laid in the United States that's Asian, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about a different one. He told that student, why are you doing day game? You're the only one of all the Asians. He's a former ABC's bootcamp student. They're saying like every single other Asian already quit day game and they're using Tinder and Instagram game. Why are you using day game? Day game does not work anymore. That's what the Chad coach told my student. Insider info. The Chad, Asian Chad, says day game does not work. That means he can't make it work, despite his looks. Isn't that weird? Only I can make it work for the student results in the whole world. Other coaches are posting stuff, even from USA, that is from 2019 or 2021 or some shit. Who gives a fuck? That's a pandemic. Pandemic, yeah, people can still get Asians laid, but the inflation of 2023 and 2024, no, they can't. ABC's only got one person laid, and in the Latin country, in Peru or Mexico, that's it. So I have to exist because I almost died of COVID recently. If I have died of COVID, guess what? What will happen with the Asians? They're all screwed. If I'm gone and I have all these late testimonials, who's going to get the Asian people laid? If more people actually train under me, then guess what? We can solve this for all the other Asians in the entire world. We don't need a second dating coach who's Asian or any other ethnicity. And just because they're Asian does not mean they're John Elite. It doesn't mean they can actually get people laid. But yeah, if I didn't exist, who's going to teach the Asians? Moses need to get the Asians across the finish line. And these pharaohs or these global game networks are like fucking Egypt. I say, let my people go. That's why I have all this motivation still, because I like what I do. Because it's just like Elon Musk, right? You say to him, Elon, why do you want to go to Mars? Why do you want to save the human race? Because he's the only one who can do it. Just like me, I'm the only one who can do this for teaching people Daygame and getting them laid in the United States. It doesn't have to be a fucking passport, bro. I'm the only one. So if that's the case, I have to exist, even though I nearly died of COVID. I was not going to survive very long. I was denied healthcare. Hospitals will not take me because I don't have any health insurance. The government canceled it, took away my free healthcare. Fuck them. But yes, I feel like it's just a fact. ABCs have no clue. They're giving you half a pizza. They only have a night game solution in Latin countries. Swiping on Tinder. You guys could get the same results on Tinder.
You sound like mean or harsh sometimes, but you genuinely sound like you want to help our kind.
I'm very like drill sergeant, like Sun Tzu. I don't mess around. The whole students, all the students late and stuff, I was trying to make a video of the Italian student 8 lays. I didn't post it today. But yeah, I treat everything like the army because I was trained by the Jewish people in martial arts. So they have a martial art called Krav Maga for the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. Before you're shipped out there, you have to learn how to do some hand-to-hand fighting. Apparently, I learned the same stuff. So I have a video on YouTube. So I basically took what the Jewish army did to teach people and I transferred it over to Daygame. I have a video of me disarming weapons and guns and all that stuff. Believe it or not. Oh, yeah. The Chinese person is the one who's same day late in Berlin. He's a 5'8" Chinese guy. So I do have his testimonial, but I have to censor his voice because he might be a public figure. But that one I can post eventually. I think I should put the placeholders on YouTube for that one. But eventually I will play it sometime next year. Maybe around like April or something. So
thank you for making it show us some love for Indian, bro.
Yeah.
Are you Indian or are you Asian?
Because at first I thought you were Asian. But I hope you really do the last video because somebody had to talk about the Indian stuff, especially about the ADHD and the Asperger syndrome, right? Nobody talked about that.
I was born and grew up in Hong Kong until 18.
But you're Indian. So if that's the case, right? Lots of Indians are born in Singapore, sometimes Malaysia, other countries, right? Outside of Asia. And a lot of them are even born in Surrey, Canada, or Brampton, Ontario, or Toronto. So Chinese, yes, makes sense. Your name's Chinese.
I live in Seattle, but I have a lot of Indian coworkers, eh?
I bet your job, right? Like most of my students, even my recent student who is joint Elite 60, you're probably engineer. Most of my students are engineers, actually, or logical. The ones who are very good. Because the logical people, they just need to translate their logic into emotions and the arrow science. And then they can conquer Daygame. Because they don't feel that much like in the way of emotions. They may get triggered, they may have cortisol. But because they're so stoic, they're mentally tougher. They can take more of a punch. And besides, engineers in general, at least I think engineers in general, they're not like in survival mode like the other students. The ones who are in survival mode, who can barely afford Elite 30, they're not good students. This is why I want more of the Elite 60, Elite Bundle 2, and stuff like that. I want those kind of students. I don't want like level 1, where they can barely afford Elite Daygame first steps or Elite 30. I want people that can afford something a little bit better. The Poland, right? Just go to Poland. That's probably the better place in Europe. I think that's probably the best place to go to. Berlin is an easy place. It's the easiest place on earth. But for Poland, it's really a good place. The women are hot. They're young. They usually they're not like as pretty as Ukrainians or Russians, but they're still up there. They're in the top 3. Is what the naturals uses.
Healthcare, most and cost of living.
I don't know. I just haven't made the move yet. I was thinking about moving over there to a different country and buy a house. I was looking at a specific house, and we were about to go, me and my Pakistani mentor, we were about to go house whatever, but I got a little bit chubby, so I didn't go. And now I lost all the weight. Not all of it, but I still have some of it, but it took a month to get rid of that. So it's also raining. I don't want to go house hunting at this time. But I was thinking about moving somewhere else, but I think eventually at some point in the future, I may move. Canada is really a horrible place right now. It is completely woke. It is liberal. It is anti-everyone. It's full of immigrants. Like, literally, there's more Indians here now in Toronto than even like Brampton. It's not just Brampton. They flooded Toronto. They're colonizing Toronto because there's an open door policy for immigration. So, no, I'm in Vancouver, but I'm just talking about Toronto. We have plenty of Indians over here. They just all live in the Surrey for some reason. Like most of them. Surrey's where all the crimes are. That's where all the Indians are. This is the place that people don't go to in the SkyTrain. When you go over there, we stop it. We switch the SkyTrain. We don't want to get anywhere near Surrey by accident. But the brown people, no offense, but the brown people will sit there and they'll go right into Surrey. And yeah, and I used to Daygame in Surrey because one of my students, a Chinese guy, lived there. He taught me a lot of the natural path kind of stuff and supplementation. So I teach that to my students. So we'll Daygame in the UBC and Surrey Central, but not anymore. Yeah, I'm focusing on YouTube. Do you want a podcast? If you want it, I'm gonna upload it and schedule it tonight. I'll spend the whole day doing it. I don't care. If you like the podcast, right? Then let's bring back the podcast. I want to focus on one thing. But the problem of focusing on one thing, right? No. In the past, when I focus on the blog and also the YouTube lives and whatever YouTube videos, usually when I get around 150 hours of watch time, that means YouTube lives, the videos, everything, 150 hours I count. Averagely, I get a new student. This month, however, is different. There's over 150 hours and I only got like an Elite 60 student, Asian engineer, half Vietnamese, half Chinese. So I'm not sure if this month is tougher, but last year around this time, my Chinese student with 15 lays, 5 models, 5 white girls, a Berlin guy. Same deal in Berlin, that guy. And he got married. He actually sent me 2 students. One Chinese guy got laid in New York with one of those Twitch streamer gamer girls in New York. And the other one was that Italian student with 8 lays. The Italian student with 8 lays was actually a friend of the Chinese guy, believe it or not. You're like, what? Really? They're actually friends. So whenever I post their lays or their marriages or whatever, they're always like congratulating each other in the inner circle. So
Focus YouTube then. YouTube is worth your time, better ROI probably.
yeah, I think it's a better ROI, but I also think my other theory is that in 2025, I should only focus on the YouTube and YouTube Live. So this camera over here, I should probably keep it. Even though it doesn't sync up perfectly. If I look normal, and even though it's a little bit slow in the leg, I should double down and use this camera because people want to see the better DSLR like quality. Then let's focus on YouTube. But before 2025, they'll update the podcast stuff. Anyone that's watching the podcast, they'll have all the videos up to date until this point. Why not? I can do it. So I can spend one day do it, maybe 4 hours. Why not? But I'll be focusing on YouTube Live.
Why do you have the perspective that Daygame is superior to Night Game?
Because Daygame is superior to Night Game because it has social skills and emotional control. Night Game uses alcohol, and Night Game is like loud. You can't communicate. The skills are 50 times higher in Daygame than there is Night Game. Daygame is 20 out of 35. ABCs of low self-esteem can only get 1 student laid for Night Game after 2 years. Daygame after 2 years. It's so hard for the Asperger engineers. But yeah, Daygame is superior because A cannot do, like in general, cannot do Daygame for the other coaches and their students. And also there's no nightclub, there's no loud music. there's no alcohol, and you're not already in a sexualized frame, it definitely is harder. And also the women are much hotter for day game. For my students, they're banging like women that they cannot get in night game. The women are so much fucking hotter. You see the student, whenever you see the results, it exponentially goes up. UFO or UMP company, always like 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10. But however, for my students, they go upwards all the time, like this, a trajectory, until they no longer practice their drills and exercises, and it goes downwards. Does that make sense? And then it'll fail eventually. When it fails, and then it's because, and they'll get married, or they just stick with the same fuck buddy. You cannot be a narcissist getting so many lays thinking you're a god and don't practice. If you don't water a tree, it's gonna die. The tree will fucking die. But yeah, day game is harder. And for the other students who used to swipe on Tinder, they used to get women really unattractive below their looks level. Night game is just whatever. Like maybe 6, 7. Day game is, you can access the 8s, 9s, and 10s. Like my other students. So,
You want to say you prefer to wake up early, go to bed early?
it really depends, right? Like my Pakistani mentor does day game. He doesn't even do Tinder or night game. There's just some people who are just born to do day game. They just don't like the nightclubs and stuff like that. They don't, like, they can do it, but they don't like it. So it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to drink. Not everyone likes loud fucking music all the time. And you can't hear what the other person is saying. So a lot of Asian masculinity, they like night game because they can bulk up their bodies like Ninja Turtles. And then they can just stand there with a black t-shirt. At the end of the night, they might get an Asian woman interested by standing out. That's black pill game. So that's why Asians love night game.
Thanks for answering what. So critics, the cities you heard know that have a noticeably higher amount of beautiful women was in a ban and really disappointed.
You have to be disappointed because in Vancouver, a lot of the hotter women that were there before, they left to Toronto and other places. Because Vancouver is so expensive, there's more opportunities elsewhere. Toronto has more attractive women than Vancouver by far. So Toronto is better looking. Europe has good looking women. Most of the United States women are not that good looking. So New York is okay. Sometimes they attract some Europeans and some Latinas. But most of the United States women are not that attractive. California, not that attractive. Yeah, United States, Canada, they have been getting fat and ugly recently. It's just Toronto's a little bit like younger working professionals, I would say. But not that, like not super attractive women in the North America these days. Just go to Europe if you want that.
So John's awesome, but he also answers question while testing camp.
Exactly.
So John actually says a lot of people consume black pill content. Some of these people may have done bad stuff. They didn't find John.
A lot of people, we're talking about, I don't want to say on the air because I don't want it to be like rendering like crazy, but people that were very depressed and thinking about offing themselves, metaphorically speaking. There's a lot of people's lives I've saved. A lot of people that were like that until they get laid and then they want to live again. So that's the truth. But yeah, there's so many people that were thinking about that. And because they get results here, they no longer think about that. So there are some people, yeah, there's definitely some very depressed people. They have like borderline personality disorder. They're borderline. That means they have like extreme mental mood swings and they always feel like that feeling of offing themselves all the time. It's hard to explain, but that's what they call it, borderline personality disorder. They have that. Really annoying to deal with because they're always like different in their thinking. I think Johnny Burba, who has offed himself recently, he says it's OCD, but I suspect there's a little bit of borderline personality disorder. Probably. Because these people are always thinking about that all the time, 24/7. They don't like it when other people leave them too. So if they're in a relationship, the woman leaves, if they have this borderline, they'll go crazy like Amber Heard. They'll start to become a little bit violent, they'll yell, they'll do all sorts of weird shit. Hard to explain, but that's how they're like. So,
Mess up and didn't listen to you.
oh yeah, that's a good question to ask.
I know that you're talking about students who mess up and didn't listen to you. Would you ever consider working with some of them again?
Absolutely not. There was a black student who basically kept running away from all the homework assignments. And he was the worst student of the year after post best student Italian. He was the worst student of 2022. He came back, right, in 2024, and he reverted back to just ignoring, running away from everything. These bad students are runners. They're delusional. They have delusions. They half-ass everything. They'll lie to you. They're self-deceptive. They always run away from things. It's, oh, you got approach anxiety, you got to run away from the women. Oh, you don't want to do the mindset playlist? Run away. The runners are the losers. They always quit. You can't help people like that because they're too delusional. And usually they're sociopaths. They're usually sociopaths. They have opinions as facts. They're delusional. They kept making crazy decisions. Oh yeah, I gotta stop focusing on John's drills. Let's go back to working out or something. I told them to get a fucking Toto gym. I have a Toto gym right here. I use it quite often, even though I don't have the best body. They didn't buy it for 150 bucks. So somebody else bought it for 250. And now they have to go to the gym with a personal trainer. They didn't listen to me. They have ugly proportions. Would I work with a person like that again? Assuming that's not you. They didn't insult me or anything, but they kept calling me like, oh, John's acting like a bully again. No, it's describing you. I tell these people they're self-deceptive. They're running away from the problems. They don't listen. And they don't, even when you call them, they're not even like, it's called in the army insubordination. So for people like that, if you're not following instructions and you don't take kindly to discipline, sometimes you gotta discipline them. I yell at them if they're off the line. Once they're disciplined, they go back on the line. They don't disobey. But they're really off the line. They'll be yelled at and they'll be treated like really badly. And then in the future, they'll never do it again. Not to scare people off, but in the army, discipline equals freedom. Without discipline, I wouldn't get 656 laden poll testimonials. And of course, you got these tall self-proclaimed coaches. They say, oh, I got 1,500 testimonials. No, you don't. Look at how many from pickup. Like less than fucking 40, 50, that's it. Then where's the other 1,500s? All stuff from YouTube comments. Like every positive comment here, they'll just screenshot it. And that's a testimonial. They have very few night game, very few day game. All Tinder. Tinder is a body count, it's not a leg count. So, but about the bad students, right? Yes, let me try to think about who are the worst students.
They didn't like this. They realize that they're willing to change it. I'll follow everything that John says.
Have to do as fast as possible. One thing you want to make sure is not to have any procrastination for more than 2 days. You don't want to ever have more than 2 days of procrastination, because the neural pathways, right? How the brain works is that it takes 21 days to develop a habit. So if you're in the Israeli army, right? Learning Krav Maga, Israeli martial arts, they all learn it. It takes exactly 21 days in a row, minimum, to make that into a permanent habit. Does that make sense? It's like planting a seed, watering it, and then the more you water it, the more you practice the drills, right? In front of the camera. But for example, it's like planting a seed, germinating the seed, right? The more you practice without having more than 2 days, because if you stop watering and plant for 2 days, right? You might forget. Game is always about, oh, I did it once, therefore I pump my state. Oh, just because you do something once doesn't mean you get it forever. You might need to continuously do it until your brain installs the skill set. And then eventually, for some people, they sprout at a different time. You'll see some of the things sprouting up. Some people start getting dates, they start getting polls and stuff. The Jewish white student, it happened very quickly, delayed. He sprouted very quickly. Italian too. After a week or two, they start getting laid because they're coachable. But the other students, they take a long time to sprout because they never actually done it like daily or not missing 2 days. Does that make sense? So the bad students, they never want to practice. The opposite between a good student and bad student is the bad students, they always run away from habits. Because when you have low self-esteem, you have 4 traits. Number 1, delusions, right? They're delusional. They almost have this demon headache. So whenever you talk to them, they're literally like seeing a different reality. If they play their audio that they send me, right? They cannot hear their mistakes until I play this 27-second audio. And it sounds like it's swearing, right? But it snaps at the 4 traits of low self-esteem. I'll play the audio for you. Okay, this 27-second audio. So when you play that, their head would be like this, those snap, because it's almost like they have a parasite or demon living inside them. They're not possessed for some of them, but the voice, that one voice that changes what you hear in your audio mistakes, it will literally change what you play this, and then you hear it again. You're like, oh, I can hear all my mistakes. Yeah, but that's only 30 seconds. So I'll play this entire audio. Voice. I don't want. So the more lazy you get, the more you half-ass and run away from the habits. It's because of low self-esteem. Higher ego, low self-esteem.
So you're wondering, you have to do it 30 days in a row, right?
But you have to do it correctly. Elite 30, you don't have my mental filter. That's the difference. Like Elite 60. But you never ever want to not show up. The 55-year-old student always showed up, but he was delusional. Because this is what happened. He did everything I say. He got a 10 out of 10. Meg box-looking blonde woman. He banged her. But then after his ego went up, his self-esteem went down. Does that make sense? When that happens, when the ego goes up, self-esteem, the 4 traits happen. So number 1, delusional. Number 2, half-assing it. Number 3, the wrong path to sociopath. Backstabbing voice. So when the students hear this, they always have a backstabbing voice. Like the black student that was kicked out. He's like, oh, I gotta work out. I gotta do this. He has all these crazy ideas that doesn't work. But he does it anyways. But he does all these crazy shit. They always invent their own steps. You never want to invent your own training because you don't know how to train. I trained for 5 years in Krav Maga. You're like, that's a long time. I overdid it. But that was my training for the students. I took it as really much. Like, Israel is a very tough country. They're not messing around. They're fighting for survival right now with all the Arabs in Iran. So discipline is very important. A lot of people, they eventually start to quit because they start being delusional. They half-ass it. In the Bible, they talk about lazy people, the fools, in the book of Proverbs. You never want to be fucking lazy. Because if you're lazy, right, you know what happens? The more delusional you get, the more better results you get. Just like my Jewish white student. He banged like a Latina afterwards. He was not practicing the drills. He ego tripped, and then he went all lazy and shit. He started disappearing. Start quitting, taking breaks. I have another Indian, like Sri Lankan student. I told him in the Elite Daygame First Steps WhatsApp group, I said, you lied to me saying in 3 weeks you're going to start practicing. He's always broing me, bro. I'm going to be there in 3 weeks, bro. 3 weeks, bro. It didn't happen. It was bullshit. He lied through his fucking teeth. He lied through his fucking teeth. So he's the runner. The other bad students I see, right, are all fat. All the fat people are delusional. I'll tell you why they're delusional. Okay? I made a video criticizing fat people and I got a lot of people pissed off at me. John's too mean. There's 100% quitting rate with fat people. Even a 55-year-old student, after he got his 10 out of 10, he's taking a big break right now. They always quit. Fat people have no emotional control. They can't control what goes into their fucking mouth. Number 1, I got chubby and I lost the weight. I can control myself. They can't. They have no fucking emotional control. Number 2, they're all sociopaths. All the fat people, they're delusional. Number 3, they're all ADHD. It's not just the fat, bad genes. They're all ADHD because they never finish a task. Because they're lazy, they're half-assing, they're always quitters. So therefore, they can never get self-esteem. They're always in massive debt. Fat people should not day game during the 2024 and 2025 inflation. They should fuck off the field. You have no chance if you're fat. That's the truth. I hate to say it, but fat people have no chance. They're mentally disabled during inflation because of the winner and loser effect. The more you win, the more testosterone you get, the more aggressive, the more risks you take. The more you lose, the more you run away. That's why they have cortisol. That's why they look all chubby and shit. They look chubby as fuck because of the loser effect. So if you were to, like, you have 2 mice, right? You put them in a tunnel for experiment, like a tube, like a toilet paper roll, and you push one of them through, right? And they won the fight. If you push that one through and the other one falls out, in the future, the one that lost is going to be less aggressive and have more cortisol, believe it or not. The system will punish you with cortisol. This is why fat people are losers. The winner is going to be more aggressive. He's going to have more testosterone. He wants to fight. He's going to more likely win the next battle. Same with tigers and lions. If a lion wins a fight, there's more chance he's going to win the very next fight. Does that make sense? So the winner and loser effect. So if you're asking me what are bad students, oh, the ones who are full of cortisol. If they're full of stress hormone and they're chubby, I know there's something wrong with them. I know they're going to quit. And they have low self-esteem. So that's another trait you should look for, is the runner, the delusional. They always run away from hard work, finishing the task. They procrastinate for weeks. Indians, for example, bench-hold Indians, the ones who are skinny fat. Because of the Asperger syndrome in the last video I made. The guys with the pot bellies, right? They always have a pot belly. Indians will always run away. They disappear for 2 or 3 weeks all the time. Even if they're skinny, they always have loose skin, pot belly. Indians are runners during the 2024 inflation. It is only the super engineer Indian with less ADHD that's making more money. The rest of them who cannot afford boot camps are bench holding during 2024. They're running away. They're always having some mental issues. ADHD. Because with ADHD, you finish a task. If you can't finish a task, guess what happens? It's like an emotional bank account. If you finish a task, this is a piggy bank, right? So this is the box. Well, you deposit more into the piggy bank. Does that make sense? Your emotional bank account. You get self-esteem and you become less delusional. You can do more. But Indians, however, never finish a task, ever. You try to get Indian to finish a task, they'll disappear for 3 weeks. Next task. Great task, John. They'll open their mouth with cortisol. They'll be like this. Their eyes will look like this. They'll look like, and then they'll disappear. After 3 weeks, they come back. They bench hold it away. They have super ADHD. So ADHD is very bad. You need to supplement away the ADHD. Because if you don't fix the ADHD and you can't finish a task, that's why Indians always say one thing and do the other. But this is why Indians, right, are gonna struggle 2024, 2025. Because Indians, they never complete a task. They can never get self-esteem. They only fill themselves full of like fucking skinny fat. The loser effect. That's all Indians can do. Unless they can afford bench hold camps, then they'll worship a white dating coach boot camp or they'll worship their own race. And then they'll come to me last after they're brainwashed by the other two. Then they're all fucked. They're all bench holding. Indians, they just cannot stop eating vegetarian food. Why do they do that thing? Because they look at my student lay testimonials, right? Non-stop. Literally non-stop. And they want to be just like them. But my millionaire student, the Chinese guy, he's no longer responding to me after I posted the marriage video of his wife. He's like, oh, don't post my wife. Maybe don't post your wife. Are you kidding me? How the fuck are people supposed to know? Maybe he's trying to act like a Sigma where he distanced himself from you. Let me remove him from the Opus clips for the YouTube shorts right now after this call. He can keep all his courses and stuff that he made from marketing. I think he's a public figure. Not famous. Nobody found out about his wife. But the fact you can ignore me and treat me like this and ghost me like I did something wrong. All the other students, even though the other Chinese student should be posting about his wife as he claims he's going to do, he sent me pictures of his wife for the marriage, which is good. I can make it, the USA is super easy for my students. But when he just ghosts me like that, like what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Who got you that wife? Who got you 15 lays? Who the fuck got you 15 lays from Daygame when you can only get one? Me. This is ungrateful. Chinese are very ungrateful.
About white plausibility, yeah.
Because
I still want to answer your other question about
why they pay and they don't do anything. Like a black student, he's only paying $200 like every week, and he stopped paying for some reason because this is what they call level 1. If they're level 1, right, they can only afford a little bit of money. They always deflect blame. They never take full responsibility, like extreme ownership. The best thing you can do is, even though inflation has been tough, I'm taking responsibility. I'm going to show up on YouTube Live more. I'm going to show up. Camera, I'm going to fucking show up. Guess what? I don't care. I'm going to show up. Oh, but business is hard this month because people are spending on... I'm going to fucking show up. I don't care. Tomorrow I'm going to post like 8 lays for the Italian student. I'm going to show up. I'll take responsibility. I'm not going to blame the fucking inflation. Sure, it exists. And all the other people from the global game networks, they're making record amount of money just by fake authority. But the students who pay for it, is because the Chinese student, the millionaire guy, taught me this. I asked him, how did he become a millionaire? I'm in the multi six-figure range in my bank account. I'm not like a millionaire. So, but I was curious. So he said to me, John, when he started having the habits of the millionaires, everything, he transformed to all the habits. Then all of a sudden, $1 million shows up in his bank account. But that's important because when you look at all the students getting laid in my coaching, it's exactly the same as the concept. They had all the habits of a natural after it's drilled down. And then the pussy starts to show up in their life, the white girls who are super fucking hot. Because they had the right habits, they transformed through habits like an army, and the pussy just falls out of the fucking sky to get laid in 1 to 6 approaches. So you're saying, oh, if that's the case, they transformed these good students. What about the fucking zombies with low self-esteem? They did not transform. They cannot wait to not transform. They can't wait to run away from the training. They can't wait to just not do the mindset playlist. They love to procrastinate. They love to lose. They love to get double chinned. They love that. They just cannot wait to lose. They're losers. And every time they lose, they get fat. It's like a scorecard. So to answer that question, that's why they pay, but they want the results, but they don't want to put in the work to transform. That's the answer.
Why does your training revolve around going to Insta dates and Insta late? I heard from Fruity, not to discriminate, moving too fast can trigger her ASD.
Who cares about this Caleb Jones person? Not to discriminate against anyone. I'm just calling him that. For him. Okay, I have nothing against gay people. I'm just saying. Why would you listen to a white person say, Caleb, fuck him? How many lay testimonials does he have? There's your answer. I have 656. Successfully is clues. Why does he have authority? Is he a white guy? A white plausibility? The other guy asked me about white plausibility, right? Did his white plausibility brainwash you? Why do I care what he thinks? Caleb can kiss my ass.
And white cousin, exactly.
So, white plausibility, exactly. Like, for that guy, right? He says, oh, it triggers ASD. What the fuck are you talking about, ASD? Anti-slut defense? My students, okay, let me tell you the truth. Here's the answer, right? Here's the great question and answer, Q&A, that you want to know. Here's the big secret. That's a great question, okay? I know you took it. Here's the answer. Okay, ASD. My students do not experience any sort of like rejections. They get laid in 1 to 6 approaches. So they still get rejected 5 times. They get laid in 6, or they get laid in 3 approaches when they leveled up. So that's number 1. Number 2, the women do not flake. You're like, what do you mean they don't flake? Because they have the perfect body language of a natural, social skills flow drill, whitewash tonality. So the biggest secret, do you remember the DVD players of the past where you can burn like a DVD disc, right? And it burns it into the machine. It has a pattern, right? So women is the same way. They can emotionally calculate your 20 out of 35, looks out of 10, money out of 5, status out of 10, social skills, social calibrations, emotional control game, right? So they're calculating and they're burning the DVD. Does that make sense? All the time. So when you have the interaction, because my students have so many points, right? When they're burning the DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you want to call it, when they're burning the disc and transcribing it, they're not hunching like all the other guys squaring off. They're freaking her out. If they're squaring off, then they're putting pressure on. Number 2, they're talking fast. They're putting more cortisol pressure, like you have bad genes, a loser effect, like how all the other white dating coaches talk. Number 3, they get flaky phone numbers. My students, the women do not flake at all when they're leveled up. They don't understand what flaking is. In my company, Johnny Lee Dating, flake does not even exist. Number 4, they don't get shit test. Shit test is when you're incongruent and the pulse are low. Number 5, they don't experience like bedroom resistance or anti-slut defense or like all that other stuff. In the bedroom, whenever they give a resistance, and they mystery try to call it something, I forgot the name of it, but bedroom resistance. They don't experience that because they use the arrow science. Maneuver, sexualize, obstructions looping. Maneuver, all the way home. Flirt in between when she talks more. You're still burning the DVD. You sexualize it to the maximum where she can only give you sexual objections. They loop it until you get over them. She might give you 3 if you're Asian. You overcome those 3 objections, you automatically get your dick wet with a white girl. That's the arrow science. So the reason why you experience ASD and all this other shit, because they don't flirt. White people don't flirt. White people love to build attraction and self-amuse and be cocky funny. They don't know how to flirt in between when she talks more. They don't have a good body language. They don't just square off, right? Oh, it's more manly, as they say. It's more fuck you for tall self-proclaimed coaches. And number 2, that's why my students stand 45. So that way, they never put the pressure on her. Who's not as manly? And number 3, when you do a same-day lay, it's faster. Would you rather same-day lay like a high-ticket sales? Like those guys, those marketers, high-ticket sales? You want to close it there and then? Or do you want to like fuck it up halfway through the sales call and then retarget the person over and over, just like the women? You fuck up during the interaction. You burn like a bad DVD. She remembers it. That's why she flakes. That's why she has ASD, because you have no fucking value. It's not that they have anti-slut defense. You have to shatter it with the sexualizing to the maximum, not like half-ass like UMP, like non-stop, like half sexualization. Oh, do you like it when your friends pull your hair? Yes. Do you like it when a guy does it? Like these stupid half-ass sexualization does not work. It puts you off the line. So the reason why you get ASD, shit test, flaky phone numbers, all these symptoms, right? It's better to close it right when you open. It's way better for doing same-day lays. You don't want to just come back and retarget and text for 4 weeks. Fuck that. It's not that my students even get flakes. You can see that even women comes out, even when they go on a date, because they don't get flakes. But if you game them with a same-day lay mentality, with perfect body language, the arrow science, you don't have to deal with flaky phone numbers. And if you got a phone number, it should come out, like my Pakistani mentor, the women. It's that simple. There's no ASD. Because it's a man-to-woman interaction. She's not worried because the value's there. They're dressed whitewashed. I'm not dressed whitewashed today. I'm just testing a video. I just grab whatever blazer that has a little bit of color so that way I can see if it looks good. That's the secret. Because they're whitewashed, they're husband material fashion. Not that you understand it. So there's no reason to do it any other way. If you're dressed husband material, you have a nice watch, you have a nice blazer, you have a nice dress shirt, you have the nice pants, exactly like my students. They all wear the same shit. You automatically get laid in 1 to 6 approaches. If you level up your skills, you just collect the laid. You collect it. There's no fucking ASD. How the fuck could a Jewish white student, how the fuck could he get like 17 fucking lays in 1 year? There's no such thing as ASD. Italian student, all 1 to 6 approaches. The Chinese student, 15 lays, all 1 to 6 approaches. No such thing as ASD. No such thing as shit test. No such thing as a fucking funky phone number. It's all bullshit. It's a game of conversions. 20 out of 35 automatically she opens her legs. Next question. Tweety, you're better because they don't. Exactly. I work for Jesus. You don't have to worship me. Worship Jesus. The reason why I told another student that Jesus is using me to help other people is because Jesus told me that if a person dies, they have a life review, right? When they have the life review, they realize they don't have their autism anymore, their Asperger's, their engineer, or their lack of empathy. And they feel everything and they feel bad about it. They finally feel remorse. But they've been robbed from the opportunity to procreate, to get married. I'm basically giving these autistic Asians, Indians, and all these minorities another chance so they can procreate one day. Because God wants the tree of life to grow. These days with wokeism, as he's mentioning, and all this other anti-God stuff, is actually destroying the tree of life. Does that make sense? So they want the tree of life to grow, not to shrink. So it's important. Jesus, God, up there, right? Worship Jesus. Do not worship me. All the miracles, all this stuff, it's not because occult abilities or psychic abilities or manifestation. No, it's God mixed with manifestation. Not so much about, I'm not a cult. It's not like any sort of weird, you don't have to worship me. Next question. It's like a muscle memory. It's like a neural pathway memory because women are emotional, right? Women see things, number 1, relative SMV. They'll look at the height. They always look up and down at you for, does that make sense? Women are just like this. And they open their mouth. They want to see if you're friend or foe. They want to see how tall you are. They look at your skin color, they roughly know what race. Your face is the last thing for all the black pill people out there. They don't give a fuck about your face. They're not lesbians. They're not lesbians. They look at all the other stuff, the symbolism. So they look at relative SMV, that's the truth. 20 out of 35. They always think about 20 out of 35 constantly. So if you're burning the DVD wrong, you start hunching all the time and you're squaring off, you're burning the DVD wrong. You're moving your points down to 0.2, not 2.5. Does that make sense? You're talking super fast like this, right? Like a lot of the other students, like the zombies, you're making her feel very nervous. So you're burning the DVD wrong. You're botching the DVD. Get it? So the score goes down. You have to burn it correctly. They etch everything because they're emotional. Women have more like, number one, relative value. Number two, emotional reasoning. They're very emotional. They're like woke people, right? Like the woke leftists. They're irrational. And number three is the logic, is irrational. They're almost like woke people. Almost like the woke men. They think of relative SMV all the time, like race, this, that. Then you think about emotional reasoning, and then lastly, logic. There's no logic. Women, the only time they're logical is when you pull them back home, you sexualized it, they give you a logical objection you deal with, and then once you deal with that, you just to open their legs. Very rarely are women logical, except that when you try to go for instant date, they don't walk with you. You fuck up earlier on. They only get logical at very like small opportunities. Very few times, not very often. So it's very important because they're emotionally etching, because she remembers the emotion. She doesn't remember the words that you say. She doesn't remember the words. So even if the hybrid opener sounds weird, excuse me real quick, I have a question. I was looking for a place called Zara. Do you know where I can find it? And the next part, right, sounds stupid. Oh, by the way, I just noticed something about you. Which is what? I just noticed that you have red hair and you have freckles. Are you Irish? Oh my God, I am a little bit Irish and British. Hey, I know that it's really random that we're talking, but, and what's the thing? I swear I'm not a K-pop artist, but I just want to socialize. Oh, it's disarmed, right? Get it? Disarmed. But the whole, oh, by the way, I just noticed something. It sounds stupid, but she can't remember that shit because she's emotionally reasoning looking at your relative SMV. Women have no idea. They can't remember that shit. But when you text them over the phone, you text them, they remember the whole DVD that's being etched, the emotions. And if you have the wrong body language, you don't make them feel good by hunching and squaring off, like tall self-proclaimed coaches. When they call it manly, it becomes a numbers game. You're talking fast, so it's all about the etching of the DVD. Last minute resistance. Yeah, that's last minute resistance. This is I forgot that term because my students do not experience last minute resistance. The reason why other dating coaches have to wrestle with women and get them drunk, right? They have these boot camp documentaries. They take one student late, they made 10 documentaries out of it. Now people think there's 10 extra videos in their playlist. They must be good. If they have 80 videos or 90 videos, you divide it by 10. Now you got 9 students or 8 students late. Old stuff from 2019. They always use the alcohol in the bedroom. So they tell the students on the sales call, hey, Ray, hey, are you willing to celebrate after the boot camp? We have a drink afterwards or something like that? Yeah, sure, why not? Now they get the students to buy alcohol. They put it into the fucking bedroom. And then when they pull women home, they say, use your alcohol and escalate super hard, but keep it below the level of grape. Keep it below the level of grape, but escalate super hard. And when the students get laid, they're like, yes. And then from there, that's why their game does not have 2024 and 2023 late testimonials, because the whole alcohol thing with the objections that women has, because right now the inflation is affecting their survival value. So they give more objections. In the logical side, they can't overcome it. So therefore, mass approach numbers game is debunked. If that makes sense.
So last minute resistance. What kind of coaching offers do you have at the moment? I visit your site, but it's a bit confusing. I have some money to invest, but the course.
Right now, the main offering I will recommend to you, unless you're an engineer. If you're not engineer, engineers go to Elite 60. But if you're not engineer, get Elite Bundle 2. This one has Elite 30, Elite Playbook. I actually changed the site right now, main offering. It has Elite Access for 1 year, but now it's 1.5 years temporarily. You get 10 minutes of my time asking questions to critique your infields, just for a few seconds, your homework assignments, and you have 11 Skypes instead of 10. If you're an engineer, this is not gonna work. It will work, but depends. If you're two Asperger's, right, you're super engineer, you're going to think differently. You need more help. But if you're somewhere like in between, your logical job, but you have a lot of grit, but you're not a super engineer like a super Asperger's, you're just a little bit Asperger's like my other two students, Elite Bundle 2 is the main offering. I would go for that one. $900 is super cheap compared to $8,600 10-day bench camp, boot camp. Way cheaper, but it gets more people laid. However, if you're engineer, take Elite 60, $2,000. So it depends on your occupation. If you're not engineer, don't take Elite 60. If you're not engineer, but you have grit, but if you don't do what I say and you procrastinate during Elite Bundle 2, when you could take Elite 60, then you're fucked. Elite 60 has more accountability. So see, do you think age gap is a problem? Because once you reach 20 out of 35, it doesn't matter about the age gap. Look at my 55-year-old student. He banged a 21-year-old, 25 and 21 in one approach during the Kaizen program, the second time he took it. So there's no such thing as age gap. It's a value gap. When you have a bigger age difference, you just need good social skills, social calibrations, emotional control, whitewash fashion, and just husband material. All women in general wants to get married one day. But even if they're younger, they're like 18, 19, whatever, they still want to get married one day. They all want to get married. So if you're husband material, you're forgiven for the age gap because you have more value than just banging you can get on Tinder. So therefore, if you're husband material, they want to get married one day, they have an opportunity. They'll forgive anything. So they don't give a fuck about your age gap. If you try to dress like a fuckboy and you dress like a friend zone and you have a shit fashion, of course they care. But if you have a perfect fashion, you have perfect social skills, and the other student in Kaizen, I'm not teaching Kaizen as much now because the inflation, people cannot focus, the winner-loser effect. But during Kaizen at the time, it was so rough. He had to pinch his nipples every time he fucked up. He wanted that. He wanted to get laid no matter what with a 20-year-old. That's what I was tasked with. I got him 3 of them, 21, 25, 21. So yeah, age gap does not matter at all. But if you look like an old fart and you dress old fashioned, you're like, the guy was fat, 55 years old. He bangs like a 40-year-old Megan Fox looking woman recently in 2024 when he rejoined my coaching for Elite Access and the lifetime membership of the Inner Circle for the 55-year-old student. She wasn't a 21-year-old like before. Even with minimal training, he still remembered. He got 0 results with white dating coaches before paying double. He spent like 3 years with a white dating coach, only got laid from Tinder once. Fucking bullshit. White people have no idea what they're talking about. But there's no like age gap. If you're husband material, they don't give a fuck about your age gap at all. But if you're not husband material, you dress like a scrub, right? Like you're chuggy in your fashion, and for your trip, as they call it for Gen Z. If you have shit fashion, then of course it fucking matters. You dress like a bum, why the fuck would they want that? Shitty fucking hunching body language, shitty fucking fast speech, direct game. They don't want that shit. Of your husband material, hybrid opener, whitewash, husband material, perfect skills, 20 out of 35. Doesn't matter. They're hardwired for evolutionary psychology. Women still respond the same way. I had a student who was much older. He started dressing in Zara clothing and he was wearing makeup to reduce his wrinkles. You can't see it. Women respond to him younger because of the fashion. So it's not that. It's the whitewash fashion in the husband material fashion. So there's no such thing as age gap. You change any of my algorithms, you'll be destroyed. When you look at my Pakistani mentor, that guy's almost like 50 now. He's older. But he's banging like 10 out of 10s and 9 out of 10s now for girlfriends. Now you have all these other coaches getting older with their game shit and just they're paying for women to hang out in the background in a DSLR to give advice videos. Fuck that. But my Pakistani mentor, he's older, but he's getting women that are hotter. It doesn't matter if they're much younger than him. He's even banging 23-year-olds now. He's like nearly 50. They don't give a fuck. All those skills, right? Relative to SMV, like I said. Emotional reasoning, etching that into the DVD. Make sense? Let's see, next question. We're just gonna go one by one. This became a Q&A.
Would you say you have some major changes in your game and approach to your work?
Yeah, first of all, there's a lot of changes in the game. Every year is different. So when you learn from like a couple years ago, like the 55-year-old student, it's not the same game that he learned right now. He still got a 10 out of 10, but she's a little bit older. She's 40 years old. She looks like a blonde Megan Fox. So the body language is the same. Social skills flow drill is the same, but the hybrid opener has changed over time. When COVID happened, I had to change the opener. In the past, they didn't have to use the arrow science. They could just etch the body language in the social skills flow drill. They get laid. They just have to get over that line. But due to the inflation, people have been losing their emotions. So their emotional points go down. So then they have to start changing to whitewash tonality of the naturals, like my Pakistani mentor. That was a change. The other change was like, besides whitewash, is that they start taking supplements to have more emotional control. So more relaxed, more chill. And they switch over to more of the maneuver, sexualizing to the maximum and objections looping. In the past, that was not necessary. The arrow will penetrate as long as they have enough social skills, social calibrations, short arrow, dull. But because in the arrow science, maneuver, sexualize, objections looping, the arrow tip, that penetrates better. But you still need to drill down the social skills, social calibrations, emotional control to make the arrow longer. The whitewash fashion is the feather, also the V-shaped body. That makes it fly better. But you also need to get your money under control so you're not in survival mode. Because if you're trying to aim the arrow during the 2024 inflation, look what happens. It's shaky, right? Boom, you always miss. So my students, because they supplemented, they learned how to budget their money. Now the arrow is still. Arrow science, they needed more points. That was the big change. I hope that makes sense. That's why we had to add more points every year. But it'll never go beyond 20 out of 35. So whatever is being, like 2024 is the hardest year of all time. I'm the only dating coach for Daygame that gets students laid consistently. Only one coach in the whole world. Show me a second coach. You can't. You're just posting old shit, or you got one luckily. You can't do it consistently month after month. But because they had to learn a lot more skills now, it's more skill maxing, neural pathway maxing, transformation maxing. But it never will go beyond 20 or 35, ever. It doesn't matter how much, oh, she's like a modern woman now, we should just go to third world countries. No matter how much she's like that, she always responds to husband material, always responds to the social skills flow drill, always responds to the body language, the whitewash tonality. It never changes. It's human psychology. It has been like this for the last thousands of years. Even caveman days. Social skills always mattered in the tribe. Body language of an alpha male. Whitewash tonality. And also, game is like more of a construct when the PUAs, the autistic fucking Asperger's, start trying to gamify things. But they had the other three. Hope that makes sense. People were not always like giving direct compliments. They're very indirect, hanging out. Eventually, they'll fall in love and then they'll have sex. More natural. Nobody goes direct. That's all made up by simple pickup and all this other London day game and all this other shit. Back then, RSD. It's all made up bullshit. So, that's question. Yes, I can see for a site Kaizen's update. Yeah, the price is now switched to $2,600. I'm not going to do it for a penny less. It should be $3,700. That's what I'm comfortable with. But that's what I'm leaving as. Most people cannot join. The reason why I don't let most people join Kaizen, because Kaizen has a 100% success rate. Everyone that completed, not everyone completed it, but everyone who has completed it has gotten laid. Every single one. I'm not going to tarnish the 100% success rate over some zombie that wants to say, oh, it's faster. You can't even last 1 week. Most people that are zombies, right? The bad students, runners in Kaizen, they won't even last 1 fucking week. It's like the fucking Navy SEALs. Hell week. It's so fucking hard that in 1 week, they'll be crying and running away and blocking me. That's how tough. But if you make it past it, because you're a fucking psychopath, and like the 55-year-old student, you have grit, right? You can take a punch. You don't care about rejections. You're not like butthurt easily by rejections. Those people will conquer. It's only for a select few. We're talking about complete, like ruthless people, gritty people. Not for the people during the inflation. The zombies should take Elite 60. No offense to the word zombies, but Elite 60 is more casual compared to before a reserve unit. Kaizen is way too fucking hardcore. That's why I only let people take it if they complete Elite 60 from 3 months of proficiency program that has every course in one. 3 months of proficiency is cheaper than a 10-day boot camp. for 8,600 is cheaper. But people don't want to pay for like during inflation. The amount is cheaper, way cheaper, but more expensive than Kaizen or Elite 60 by far. So that course, let's say complete Elite 60, then you can take Kaizen these days. But you cannot access Kaizen. I leave the sales letter up there. But I'm sure as hell not going to let people take Kaizen. You're not going to fuck up my 100% success rate. We'll do something similar in Elite 60. It'll be more of emotional intelligence, different. It has mental trauma cure in the beginning. I'll be teaching you how to switch your emotions. For example, if I want to switch to more caring tonality, I can switch to it anytime because the external brain that I created from Elite 60, right? If I want to be more of a happy, fun, carefree, positive vibe and game the audience, right? Like right now, and switch my tonalities where I sound very positive, right? I can switch it at will because of Elite 60, right? Some of the secrets from my infields, I can switch the emotions because I know how to do all this stuff. And then if I want to tease, I can do it anytime I want. My tonality be like that. I'll feel like a troll. And then, for example, if I wanted to flirt, I can do it at any time in my tonality. So that's Elite 60, right? Learning, because some people don't have emotions. They're around. It's better for people that are a little bit taller. They're like 5'10", 5'11". They have more SMV, but they cannot handle Kaizen. They need more emotional intelligence. Elite 60 is perfect for you. It's designed for someone like that. You have medium SMV. You're not like dog shit SMV. Kaizen is more for the lower SMV guys because lower SMV people have nothing to lose. They have such dog shit SMV, they cannot blame it. If you're tall, you're good looking, you take Kaizen in 1 week, you realize that the shortest you are kicking your ass. Oh, you're going to feel like you're going to bench fold. You're going to lose your fucking mind. So yeah, it's quite.
Always upgrade the course later.
Yeah, if you want to upgrade to 3 months of proficiency, why not? We just pay the difference. No problem.
You think that your Chinese student did well in Berlin because he's a...
No, it has nothing to do with it. She had no idea. It's the very first approach that he made. So if it's the first approach, he has no idea that he didn't use Instagram, nothing like that. Just same day late. He used the aero science. So around that time period, we switched the game over to more aero science. He was the first one doing it more often. The other students were doing more of the body language stuff in Kaizen.
Are you over-the-counter supplements for ADHD or everyone
require prescription medication? That's a good question. It's all over the counter. I know exactly what to take. It's stuff you can buy for Amazon. It's not like, I don't teach this to the public here, but there are supplements that can help with ADHD for sure. But it's all over the counter, but it's not over the counter. It's all on Amazon. You cannot find it over the counter.
Then we should talk about Elite 60, Elite Bundle 2 to prove ourselves before we can more Kaizen.
I would, for you, if you're an engineer, start with Elite 60. Don't even bother with Elite Bundle 2. You get your ass kicked. There's not enough accountability. You get fucking smoked. This is the inflation. If you're like not an engineer, but you have a logical job and you have a lot of grit, then yeah. But Elite Bundle 2, you probably won't even last. Like you just procrastinate like crazy.
Why should people why would people not complete it? I'm sure there are people who followed it, but maybe their setup isn't right or the personal life don't allow.
Yeah, because if you have mental trauma, you should take Elite 60. It has mental trauma cure. You won't even last like very long in Elite Bundle 2.
The other question, right?
Why did you not complete it? So we talked about the self-esteem, right? We talked about the bad students, right? The 4 traits of low self-esteem. Number 1, delusional. They're very delusional. So whenever you tell them something, they'll shoot down all your ideas. One of my worst students who's Latino, every single thing I tell him, get this hairstyle, do this, he'll be shot down. Like an Iron Dome, right? Missile comes, idea, shoots it down. Next one, shoots it down. Everything is shot down, number 1. Same with the bad black student. Number 2, they're half-assing it. Whenever you tell them to send you like 20 videos of drills, you correct their body language, you draw on it, you know what to do? After 5 videos, they'll go take a nap because they're sweating. Because the cortisol, the loser effect. It's not that they're running away. Then they say, I'll do it tomorrow. They're completely drenched in sweat. What the fuck? So that's number 2, they're half-assing it. And then they'll show up within a few days like afterwards. I had one Latino student who still got laid in a Latin country going direct, but he wanted to get hotter women. But he was sweating after 3 or 4 takes. And then afterwards, his mindset playlist, for example. Okay, I make a student go through a 26 video mindset playlist. I had one student, but he was clueless. He didn't do the homework assignment properly. He just kept wasting time, like another 2 months. Another guy for Kaizen, he wasted like fucking, it took him a month. He didn't even finish it. If he didn't finish the mindset playlist in 1 month, and people can get it done in 1 day, right? Like the 55-year-old student, he got it done in 1 day, and then he got laid right away. When you take a month to do nothing because you cannot focus with ADHD, your mindsets are bad. These people, there's 5 traits of mindsets. Number 1 is how teachable are you? These guys, their teachability is 0. They'll shoot down everything you say. They can't even remember it because they have ADHD and they're mentally blinking. Their brain will shut down over and over. Does that make sense? As soon as you say something like, okay, I want you to make a playlist on Google Drive, the brain shuts down. They don't even hear Google Drive. And I want you to make 26 videos, all the titles, the brain shuts down again. And when you like make the 26 videos, I want you to put 10 takeaways. They don't even hear takeaways, just 10 things. They copy it word for word. Not copy it, blinks again. That you have to tell them twice. They're mentally blinking. They're physically, their brain is shutting down. I have a shutter over here on the side of the webcam. I can turn off the thing. I never tried it before. I'm not sure if it'll shut down the video or not, but I'm not going to do it right now. But it's like their brain's like a shutter. So physically, they cannot get the information. They're never teachable. So they cannot be changeable because they're not teachable. They're like 0 or 0.5. They get all the instructions wrong, like a zombie. So when it's time to changeable, right? They don't change very quickly. My Jewish white student, he always fucks it up 2 times. 3rd time, he always gets it right before. Italian student, 4 times, he gets it right. Chinese student, he fucks it up using the white dating coaches UMP style, or a self-proclaimed high lay count guy. He fucks it up, like really fucks it all up. And he realizes white people stuff doesn't work. He wants it to work. He does it my way and he shoots down the idea. No, I don't think it's like that. It doesn't make any sense. Right? Let's turn it back. He said, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And then he does it and he gets laid. And it's fuck. Two approaches, now lay. Yeah. 3 approaches, 1 lay. 1 approach, 1 lay. Oh, but you shoot down the idea. John, you can't get laid in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Yes, you can. He fucking does it. He puts her in the back of his rented motorcycle. He fucking gets laid in a fucking 1 approach, like less than 5 minutes. I told you. Oh, but mystery said, oh, fuck mystery. And then you tell him something else. No, but UMP or whatever, it says, you gotta sexualize it. If you don't sexualize it, how would they get sexualized? No, you fucking flirt instead. I'll teach you how to flirt. He starts flirting, gets laid with his first white girl. You get it? That's the secret. So, they can't follow it. But some people can change. So teachability, number 1. 2 is changeability. Number 3 is the skills. That means skill is all a 10. In order for you to get better with skills, you can't do it by yourself. You can't see your mistakes. You need me there to be disciplined. So for skills, it's like you go from unconscious incompetence like a zombie. That's why I make the students, whenever I give them advice, I make them write down all the mistakes that they made that I tell them for the critiques. I just told one student is a zombie and he wrote it all down. And we counted how many times did he make the same mistakes. He counted. So I put it into a list here. And on the list over here, I wrote it all down. See? Can't really see it, but fuck. So number 1, tilting your head 6 times is wrong. Number 2, tilting your body awkwardly 6 times. Looking down too much before the first come on, like he's walking and talking for instate 6 times. Not maintaining 45-degree angle 5 times. Walking too fast, shuffling 5 times. Looking back too much on, it's the same move that's making mistakes. Speaking too fast 4 times. Pausing too much 4 times. Overthinking. That everything is documented. So for them, because they're not teachable and changeable, they repeat the same mistakes because they're delusional. So you have to go from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. That's why that 27-second audio exists for that student. If they don't play the 27-second audio, they cannot hear their own mistakes. Over here.